As you know, I'm staying out of it. I think that Mr. Trump is having the time of his life. I congratulate him for getting all the attention that he's getting.
I don't know what that means. Welcome back to Hardball. That was John McCain on Meet the Press, and I don't know what he meant by that, weighing in on a possible Trump presidency without saying a thing. As Trump becomes more serious, of course, so does the scrutiny he faces from politicians and the media, especially the media back home in New York. Earl Lewis in New York, the host of Inside City Hall on NY1, and Jenny Backus is a Democratic consultant. Let's take overall right now, Earl, what is going on in New York? I noticed the New York Daily News, Mort Zuckerman's paper, he's a big developer up there. Donald Trump's a big developer. Is this intramurals in New York, or what's going on? Why all of a sudden the heat on this guy?
Well, I don't know if it's heat. It's people taking him up on his challenges offer to be taken seriously. If you're going to take him seriously, and we did a long interview with him, we also went and looked at his voting record and found that he hadn't voted in a primary in over 20 years. And, I mean, you know, it comes with the territory. And, frankly, it's a love tap compared to the scrutiny he's going to get if he actually gets into a presidential primary.
Do you think that's going to hurt him with the birther crowd, that he didn't vote in primaries in New York City?
Well, you know, he switched parties and then didn't vote either as a Democrat or as a Republican. You know, it starts to look a little bit funny. He was saying very nice things about the president, about Barack Obama, as late as last year, 2009.
Well, here is Trump on Fox and Friends. I swear he gets up and turns on the TV and watches Fox, I'm sure. Here he is this morning, today, talking about his voting record, defending it point by point, but not quite accurately. Let's watch.
Sometimes you'll have a primary where a Republican is even mentioned, and where there is no Republican, or where he's expected to get 4% of the vote, and I'll be in a foreign state or I'll be in a foreign country doing business, and am I supposed to drive back when the Republican is, you know, considered to get 3% of the vote, or there is no Republican even running? So a little bit of that, but in terms of the general election, my record is very good. I mean, generally speaking, I like to vote. I'm a believer in voting, I will tell you.
I just love this, Jenny Backus. He says the same thing to the church crowd. He says, you know, I go whenever I can. I'm sort of a Sunday kind of guy, Easter's, and you know. But it's amazingly, a new bar has been set very low. First of all, apparently he didn't vote in the general election 2002, so I guess he'll qualify that yet again, and say, okay, I only voted in presidential general elections. It's going to take a while to get this straight, I guess.
Well, it's a cult of personality right now. I mean, I think everyone wants a little bit of amusement. Spring is in the air. People are looking for something to laugh at. His apprentice numbers are going down. I mean, the bottom line is this guy is a figment of everybody's imagination in some...
He is?
Yeah, well, he's a figment of...
Okay, who's got a better chance of being elected president next year, him or Pawlenty?
Plenty.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Oh, gosh.
No, it's true.
I don't think he's up against a fast track here.
No,
I think he's on a muddy, slow track, and he's galloping along
there. Oh, come on, Chris. You know that presidential races are won by slogging it out in Iowa, New Hampshire. I mean, this guy is Mr. Florida. He comes flying into Iowa in his gold-coated
what do you
plane.
make of this Bloomberg thing? The fact that Bloomberg, your mayor, went after me. He said he's an icon, and then on Fox and Friends and yesterday, but then he went on to challenge the birther issue. Let's watch a very respectable mayor, Michael Bloomberg, go after his fellow New Yorker. Let's watch.
Anybody can run for president if you're 35 and an American citizen and born here. The president was born here. This birther issue is more than one person. There's a lot of groups that have glommed onto this. I think the Republicans are making a terrible mistake in making this a big issue. We have immigration, we have the deficit, we have the economy. Those are the things that the public cares about. If the Republican Party doesn't start addressing that, they will lose, and they deserve to.
Not as a journalist, but as an American, are you offended by this birther talk?
No, not really. Honestly, it's obviously a stand-in for something else. People seem to have lost their minds over something related to the president, and it expresses itself in this very peculiar way, you know? So, I mean, I pity those people more than anything.
Is it factual? Is it a true inquiry? Is it true skepticism? Or is it so's your old man? It's like school kids yelling at each other, your mama, that kind of stuff.
It's probably, my guess, if I had to guess, would be that it's a euphemism. In polite company, you can't say certain things about the president, so they'll say, well, he's not an American, you know, and
so what's it euphemistic for?
They like the fact that it bothers people like you, Chris, and I think they get more pleasure out of bugging you than anything else.
I would be surprised if he spends his mornings figuring out how to bother me. But here's Franklin Graham, a guy I don't respect. He was asked about Mitt Romney and Donald Trump as possible presidential candidates. Listen to what the Reverend Junior Graham had to say.
I've met Mitt Romney, no question. He's a very capable person. He's proven himself. Donald Trump, when I first saw that he was getting in, I thought, well, this has got to be a joke. But the more you listen to him, the more you say to yourself, you know, maybe the guy's right. So he might be your candidate of choice. Sure, yeah, sure. I said that Islam, after 9/11, that Islam was...
Let's take a look at this. Here's Franklin Graham. He has a history of saying incendiary things. You're about to see a couple of them. Let's listen to a few things he said in just the past year.
I said that Islam, after 9/11, that Islam was wicked and evil. I don't believe that Muhammad can lead anybody to God. First of all, I think the president's problem is that he was born a Muslim. His father was a Muslim. The seed of Islam is passed through the father. He was born a Muslim. His father gave him an Islamic name. Now, it's obvious that the president has renounced the Prophet Muhammad, and he has renounced Islam, and he has accepted Jesus Christ. That's what he says he has done. I cannot say that he hasn't. So I just have to believe the president is what he has said.
What's the seed of Islam? He says Islam is a joke of a religion. Then he's quoting the religious beliefs about the seed of Islam. Somehow you become part of a religion without any forethought.
It just makes me, I think it would make everyone, and you got to be careful who you sort of associate and say that are your backers. And the fact that Trump and Graham are embracing each other makes me very scared about foreign policy. It's almost like Sarah Palin waking up and not knowing where Alaska and Florida are. I mean, you need to be able to have someone who can have a conversation and lead and make strategic decisions and garner respect.
Why would he Why would he glom onto this guy? Errol, why would he want Franklin Graham behind him? Then associate himself with Franklin Graham's wonderful father, Billy. A different kettle of fish than the son. I think we all agree by now.
Well, he's trying to get some legitimacy, clearly. I mean, he likes his standing in the polls. He's appealing to the birther crowd. He's looking for friends anywhere he can find them, and that's how you run for president, at least in the early stages, or that's one version of how you run for president. You know, he could stand on principle and remain single digits in the polls and just kind of fade away like Haley Barbour. He's chosen a different strategy.
Let's try to go further. I want to now plumb the depths of you. I want to do some teeth drilling of you, Earl. You said that he gets up in the morning to try to bug me, which I find sort of almost laughable, but fine. Let's go this way. The last thing you said. He does this to appeal to the birther crowd. Who are the birther crowd?
Well, I mean, they're self-defined. People who believe that insanity. 84% of Democrats reject it. 69% of independents reject it. And apparently something around 46% of Republicans do not reject it. So, you know, there you have it. Beyond that, I don't know how you slice and dice them. I don't know where they fall as far as their geography or their religion or anything else. But
you can take a guess, can't you? Can you help me guess with this one? I guess they're rural, and I bet they're right wing, and I bet they don't like Barack Obama long before they ever questioned his birthplace.
But we need to be careful about birther equals Tea Party in some senses.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. But other people are saying that, and I think that's where Trump says Tea Party. He's trying to say that he's a Tea Party guy, but this is a guy who's gone into bankruptcy 4 times, used every corporate loophole.
Okay, you're just being partisan here.
I am not being partisan.
You are. Because the fact is, he seems to be appealing. There's something going on. Why? I want both of you guys to tell me, why is he doing so well in these polls if he's a joke?
Right now, a ham sandwich would do well in the Republican primary. I mean, he's a celebrity. People recognize his name.
I don't think he's a joke. I mean, he's talked about trade policy, some other things very seriously. This birther thing is pure insanity and a bit of political hucksterism. But other than that, he's a serious candidate.
I don't think you can say he's a serious candidate looking at what he said. I mean, he's glib. He's got one line. He flip-flops every second. He's not going to hold. New York is other than probably my hometown of Boston, well, my home area of Boston. New York is a hotbed of political. You guys are starting to sizzle him up a little bit. Wait till everybody else.
You know, I'm actually confused now because I'm not confused. I do think we're seeing a statement here. I believe that the early round of Republican candidates who put their names out there are not working. I think Mitt Romney's like the dog food the dog never wanted. No matter how much advertising, no how good he looks, he doesn't like the taste of this dog food. I think T-Paw ain't working yet, or he might. I think all this talk about Mitch Daniels is intellectualism that's never going to go anywhere. Yeah. In the end, you got to pick a human being to be president of the United States who you trust more than you trust the other guy. And I think that's the Republican conundrum for a while now.
Right.
Maybe by next year they'll have solved it.
Well, Trump's not the solution for them. And you can see that by Rove and other people coming out and trying to run away from him and disqualify him right now. I mean, we've had a couple of primaries like this where some people didn't like John Kerry. Everyone looks for the superstar. You don't get superstar races every single time out in a presidential cycle. And I think we need to be careful not to overlook the workhorses out there, the guys. Unfortunately, and Michelle Bachmann, well, maybe not her, but going to Iowa, New Hampshire.
Do you realize how the standard? Earl, did you just hear the standard change? The standard has changed so that Michelle Bachmann is now a serious candidate for president because we got Donald Trump in the race. They have moved that center strip.
Look, nothing succeeds like success. Let him win a couple of primaries, and a lot of stuff will suddenly start to fade away. Remember Barack Obama and some of the warts that he had.
Well, the good news for us is I just got the word from his office today that when he announces, apparently, June 1st, he's going to come on this show and give us a lot of information about his plans. So that's when I want Donald Trump on the show, and I'm willing to wait, Donald, and I don't think you get up in the morning just to bother me at all. Anyway, Earl, I think you're wrong on that one, but you're New Yorker. I understand how you're obsessed with your intramurals up there. Thank you, Earl. Thank you very much, Earl Lewis, for joining us. And I want to thank Jenny Backus, as always,